In the mid-90s, California was not exactly the postcard of sunshine and surfers you'd expect, and nowhere was that more obvious than at Woodrow Wilson High School. Once a prestigious academic beacon, the school had now become a chaotic melting pot of gang tensions, and into this perfect storm walked Erin Gruel, full of hope and dressed in red like she was auditioning to teach at Hogwarts. Her first day was supposed to be the start of a meaningful career. What she got instead was a classroom full of teenagers who looked at her like she was the substitute for detention. Two boys in the back started arguing. Within seconds, the class exploded into chaos. Erin had no control and apparently no idea what she'd just signed up for. During lunch, she noticed how the schoolyard looked more like a map of territorial gangs than a campus. Everyone stuck to their side. Latinos here, Cambodians there, African Americans on the other end, all glaring at one another like they were in a live episode of Survivor. And Erin, still clutching her optimism, decided she was going to fix this. But her first few weeks proved brutal. The students treated the classroom like background noise. Then came Eva Benitez. She wasn't just a student. She was a survivor of a war most adults couldn't comprehend. Her father had been taken away by police for no reason, and she'd seen enough violence to last 3 lifetimes. Eva didn't trust anyone, especially not a smiling white teacher who talked about understanding each other. Her boyfriend Paco and his crew were part of the local gang scene, and danger followed them like a bad shadow. One night, Eva went into a convenience store while Paco and his friends waited in the car. Inside, another student from Erin's class, Grant Rice, was losing an arcade game. When he demanded a refund, the store owner snapped, and things escalated quickly. Paco, ever the genius, decided to handle it with a gun. He aimed for Grant, but hit one of Cindy Ingner's friends instead. Paco and Eva fled, and Grant, the only one left at the scene, was arrested for murder. Eva saw everything, but the streets had their own code, and loyalty came before honesty. When she was called to testify, she pointed the finger at Grant to protect her people and her boyfriend. The courtroom believed her. One day, a student named Tito thought it'd be hilarious to draw a racist cartoon mocking Jamal, one of the African-American students. The laughter that followed was sharp. Erin, however, saw a teaching moment buried inside the disaster. She decided to give her students a history lesson, not the kind you find in textbooks, but one that hits you in the soul. She introduced them to the Holocaust. The students stared blankly, most of them never having heard of it. Genocide wasn't something discussed in their world. They had enough of their own battles. But when Erin explained how prejudice could spiral into mass hatred and death, the class fell silent. For the first time, they listened. During that talk, Eva spoke up. She said white people didn't deserve respect. They never respected anyone else. She told stories about police shooting her friend and locking up her father for nothing. Marcus, another student, added that dying for his own people was better than living without dignity. Erin, still searching for a foothold, reminded them that death doesn't care about skin color. Everyone ends up the same in the end. After class, Erin went straight to the department head, Margaret Campbell, to request new reading material, books her students could connect with. Margaret looked at her like she'd just asked for gold bars. The school had no budget for replacements. Erin left her office with a polite smile and a soul full of frustration. She turned to another teacher, Brian, hoping for backup. No luck there either. So, she tried a new approach, the line game. She taped a line on the classroom floor and asked her students to step forward if a statement applied to them. At first, it was fun stuff, favorite music, hobbies. Then, she asked who had lost friends to gang violence. Almost every student stepped forward. In that moment, they all saw each other not as enemies, but as survivors of the same pain. That night, Erin sat at her desk reading the journals she'd given them to write in. Page after page was filled with heartbreak, stories of abuse, loss, eviction, and violence. She realized these kids weren't bad. They were broken, and no one had ever tried to fix them. So, she decided to become that person. To fund her lessons and field trips, Erin took 2 extra jobs, one as a concierge, another at a department store. Her big breakthrough came with a field trip to the Museum of Tolerance. It was the first time many of her students had ever left their neighborhoods, and the first time they'd seen a world bigger than their block. They walked through exhibits of Holocaust history, learning about prejudice on a scale far greater than anything they'd imagined. By the end of the day, they were quiet, the kind of silence that comes from realization. Erin capped the trip by taking them to dinner at her side job's restaurant and surprising them with guests, Holocaust survivors. One by one, The survivors shared their stories of loss, fear, courage. The students listened with wide eyes, understanding that hate had been around long before them and that survival wasn't about where you were from, but what you were made of. Back at school, their attitudes began to shift. They started seeing one another as equals, not rivals. The classroom that once buzzed with hostility now hummed with curiosity. The next school year began with Erin teaching the same group again. On the first day, she asked her students to make a toast for change. They stood one by one, sharing their dreams and regrets. She handed them the diary of Anne Frank. At first, they were skeptical, another old book about dead people. But when they read about Anne hiding from Nazis, her fear and hope, they saw themselves in her. They also read about Miep Gies, the woman who risked her life to protect Anne. When they found out Miep was still alive, they decided she needed to visit their class. Erin warned them it had cost a fortune to bring her from Europe. They didn't care. Determined, the students organized fundraisers, beach food stalls, dance events, car washes, you name it. Every dollar they raised wasn't just money. It was proof they could make something happen together. Erin pulled strings, sent letters, and somehow made the impossible possible. When Miep Gies finally arrived, the school felt electric. The students, once hardened by street life, now stood respectfully, awed by her courage. She spoke gently, recounting her experiences hiding Jews during the war, facing Nazi soldiers, and choosing kindness even when the world offered none. When Marcus called her a hero, she smiled and said she wasn't, that real heroes are those who choose to do what's right, even when it's hard. Her words hit like sunlight in a dark room. Marcus took her message to heart. That night, he went home, knocked on his mother's door, and apologized for leaving her for the streets. It was the first step of his new life. Meanwhile, Eva faced her own turning point. Grant's trial loomed, and she wrestled with the truth. Protecting Paco meant lying again. Protecting herself meant living with guilt forever. When the moment came, she took a deep breath and told the truth. She revealed that Paco was the shooter. The courtroom gasped, justice was served, and Eva walked out knowing her courage came with consequences. Her gang turned on her, but her father's influence kept her safe. As the semester drew to a close, Erin told her class she wouldn't be teaching them next year. The disappointment in their eyes cut deep. They'd finally found someone who believed in them, and now she was being taken away. Determined, she fought the administration to stay. Margaret argued that other teachers deserved a chance, but Erin wouldn't back down. She had one last project in mind, for the students to compile their journals into a book inspired by Anne Frank's diary. The students poured their hearts into it, each page telling stories the world had never heard. When Erin read them all, she realized she wasn't just teaching anymore. She was witnessing history. These kids weren't victims. They were writers, thinkers, and survivors. She titled their collection The Freedom Writer's Diary. At the final board meeting, the school administration decided her fate. Erin waited outside. When they called her in, she braced herself. And then, at last, came the news. She was allowed to continue teaching her class through their junior and senior years. When she told her students, the room exploded with joy. They cheered, hugged, and cried, not because they'd won some academic battle, but because someone had finally fought for them. Over the next years, Erin's students did what no one expected. They graduated. Many went to college. Some became mentors, others writers. They broke the cycle that had trapped their families for generations. And it all started with one teacher who refused to give up, even when everyone told her she was wasting her time. Because sometimes, change doesn't come from power or money. It comes from one person daring to care when no one else will. And that's the story of Freedom Writers. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and remember, even the smallest act of kindness can rewrite someone's story.